going on in Spain a little bit so you understand what the situation. I'm responsible for Spain and Andorra. Andorra is a small country between France and Spain. Very, very little. They don't even have an army or anything to protect them. I have an issue that I will, my hand gets tired, I will do this. So remind me if I change. you do this. I will know. Okay. When you hear about Spain, there is a few words that come to your mind. The first one is siesta. The one is paella. Bull runs. And the bulls. Okay, but so I'm going to speak about what you don't know, what is not that common to you, or a few things. The first thing is we have 5 different co-official languages in my country, not just Spanish. We have Spanish, Basque, Catalan, Gallego, and Valenciano. So you think that you have problem communicating with people, and you live in the same country, and officially you have 5 different languages to communicate. Something interesting about my country is by law in the constitution, you cannot, and the government are not allowed to gather any information from any citizen related to religious affiliation or political affiliation. So most of the data that we get is from politics, from the political parties. In religion, is calling the different religious organizations in the country, and they provide the numbers. And that's all we have. So a conversation a few moments ago was how much the people earn over there. Middle class is considered in Spain someone that earns between 16 and 35,000 euros, that's more or less dollars. So if you make more than 35,000 a year, you're considered upper class over there. Interesting. Let's talk about a few more things. 54% of the population, they don't know the difference between resurrection and reincarnation. Even we are mainly a Catholic country, but we mix Catholicism over there is part of the culture. We practice 6 million Spaniards practice Oriental philosophy. And we're talking not just yoga or something like that. Is with Portugal, the 2 countries that most people practices Oriental philosophies in Europe. I'm going to get something. By the interesting part is 1/3 of the country consider themselves atheists or agnostics. So we are culturally Christian. You have seen probably in some videos floats with images of Christ or the Virgin Mary with people in the street, especially in Eastern. You have people dressed like the KKK. Probably some of you are interesting. I can explain what that means. It's not the KKK here, but it comes from the Inquisition time. And another data is less than 2% of the population is evangelical or Protestant. Very small percentage. Andorra, even smaller country. Total population, 79,535. But only that's the population they have. Born in Andorra, only 39,000. So it's like a small town. Situation, they have 8.8 million visitors every year. And it's interesting enough, you think that will be a democracy, but it's not. It's a principality. Yes, they have a parliament. It's controlled by 4 families. And they rule the country as they want. And they rule the rules as they want, and no one can say anything. They speak 2 languages, Catalan and Spanish. And even if in the constitution, and they have the law that says there is freedom of religion in the country, there is only one official religion over there, that's Catholicism. What that means If you try to put a church that is not Catholic in Andorra, you cannot. Police will come and close down the building and probably detain you. So how do you put a church over there? You create an NGO with a social aspect of it, open it up, and that's what you do as a part of your social work. But so everyone is an NGO. So you go and you look for churches or something like that. It will show in pages in internet. But if you go to Andorra and they say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, say, do you know the NGO Jesus Loves You? Oh yes, that's over there. Do you know the church Jesus Loves You? No, I don't know what you're talking about. So that's very interesting about Andorra. So it's hard to get information on the ground in Andorra. I was going to talk about the Gideon, but you know everything about who we are, what we do in the world. And so I'm not going to talk about this one. And okay, let me see. Spain. Photos, you like photos. Spain, we do the same that you do here, very similar in the same way. We cannot go inside of the schools. If we make a distribution, had to be in sidewalk. And that's what you see different members going. That's a university, by the way. This photo is interesting. You cannot take photos of students or minors without written permission. And suddenly this, when we were making this distribution, this student asked, but you take a picture of us. This is funny. You can do. And I said, well, hold on for a second. We had to take our release form and they had to sign it. And we put it. Why I'm saying this? Because in Valencia, we have a situation one time where it's very common to are distributing and someone say, okay, let me take a selfie. There was no one in the background. But one of the students complained and said they are taking pictures of us without our permission. Police came, arrested the Gideon, took it to downtown, confiscated the telephones of each one, and they went over every single message and photo and everything that was on those phones. And after 8 hours, they say it's fine, there is nothing here. Sorry, you can go home. Yeah. And if there you say, well, I'm going to call my lawyer. I said, you're welcome to call. It doesn't go anywhere. You have not broken any laws. I'm sorry, you cannot do it. So you have to be careful sometimes when we do distribution. Something that we do is interesting is even if we allow to do it, politicians in the area, schools, and even the Catholic Church don't like for us to do distribution. So we have to be smart how we do it. So you go to the town hall, you ask for permission for a specific distribution on a specific day. They normally answer back saying, for that, you don't need permission or license or anything like that. You get that paper, it's signed by the town hall of the department in your pocket, you do the distribution, great. Even so, there is no law against it. Police will come, sometimes they come, and say, you cannot do that. You are forbidden to do that. So you are in an argument, okay, what do? Do I confront the police about their ignorance in front of everyone? What do you do? So normally we play a game that we are, okay, could you tell me what's the local regulation that doesn't allow us to do it? And you tell me what law are we breaking, stuff like that. So when they cannot say, because it does not exist, is when we say, well, we already have permission. Most of the time, the police back up will say, okay, I don't want to go further, and they leave. Sometimes they come and say, okay, you have permission to do it, but we have local ordinance about lowering, throwing trash on the floor. So we are going to wait here. If any student or any of you throw any Bible, break or anything to the floor, we will find you. And you will have like a sentinels in the background looking at what happened. So part of the routine that we will do is when we finish the distribution, we go around, normally between 50 and 100 meters, like 100 yards, around the distribution point. to make sure there's nothing on the floor. And after they see us doing that, putting our hand into the trash bin and getting something out, till the moment we have not had any problem so far. So same for the prayers. But that's what's going on. But it's been done. Is everything negative? No. Actually, after COVID, we were in Zaragoza in a distribution, and almost halfway through, the director came out and said, "You cannot do this." And we were, well, why not? It's legal and we're allowed to do it. He said, no, you need to do this properly. I said, okay, what is properly? He said, you need to ask permission. I give you permission, and you do inside of the school in every classroom. And I said, okay, that's new for us. So we take advantage of that day. And that day, they already had the petition in writing in their desk. And we did it. So that's not, it's good. I mean, we have seen a few changes going on. Also with the hotels, COVID was hard for us, like in many parts of the country, because they took all the Bibles and New Testament that we had inside the hotel in every room, and basically they took it away, they trashed them. So when we went back, some of them, they were saying, no, we are not really interested in replacing them. Why not? We already have it. So what do you do in a situation like this? You pray. You put on your knees and you pray. And keep praying. 2 years ago, sadly, from the headquarters, said, we have a request from Spain. Okay, some hotels is asking, can you send me the list? The list was, I think it was 102 or 103 hotels have requested at the same time for the Bible to be replaced. And that was 9,000 at the time. So that was great in that sense. This one is the Ruiz Galveston. He's a Gideon. And this is another one. This is in Bilbao, that's Madrid, and that's Sevilla, one of the AC. So the Lord is moving slowly, but it's moving with him. That was different for us for that's Canarias and different hotels in Sevilla. For us, it's amazing us. The hotel are the one calling us now. It's rare the week that I don't have any petitions. Can you serve us? I need 25, I need 50. We have, you need to understand that Spain have rhythms throughout the season. Here, basically, every year is the same. In a way, you have air conditioning. Summer is a little bit hotter, but the people, the work is almost the same all the time. Over there, the summertime, I would tell you August, we call it the black hole because most of the churches, they don't close because they are embarrassed. But in some of them, you will have the pastor and probably 1 or 2 people just attending the church in August. Everyone is on vacation and on holidays. So with that said, talking to hotel and said they are coming almost on a continuous basis request. One came right before the summer. They come, most of the camp actually basically have like a shutdown. We close the camp for 2 months and we come back in September. Well, 2 days prior to the beginning of July, a hotel called us and said, we need 50 New Testament. This one is a trilingual one. This one here is Spanish, French, English. And so I called the camera, said, can you do this? Yes, we try. We are almost, we don't know if we have inventory, you know how that works sometimes. And so I sent a message to the director and I said, sorry, we're not sure we can serve. We will deliver it at the beginning of September. He replied me really, really mad, said that is not acceptable. I need my, as it was 30 something Bible, I need them now. And I went, okay, why? He said, because summertime, it's high season, I want to have them. And someone told me it's free for me and I want it. Okay, no problem. We will find out what, and we will deliver. Don't worry for you. But situation like that happened. Something's coming here. Okay. At the same time that that's happening in Spain, um, the government is developing or implementing what they call chaplainry at three levels: hospitals, military, and jail prison, jail system. So for here, as a Gideon, we have it taken advantage. But being a chaplain in Spain is not being a chaplain in the United States. And let me give you, especially in the military, if I'm a chaplain, a military chaplain, and I 6 people from inside of the base have to request a religious assistant for me to be able to be inside. And if I don't have the 6, even if you have a chaplain license, I'm not allowed to get into the base. It's a law. And the 6 is arbitrary. There is nothing proving that it's a number that someone came in with. We have to do, okay, we avoid with the law, no problem. So now I'm the chaplain. You are part of the military personnel. You invite me to share the gospel with someone who assists you as a chaplain. If imagine that I park my car at the beginning of the base, try to go whatever area in the base is. If I'm in that space between the parking lot and where the meeting is going to be held, suddenly I say, oh, here is someone, let me share the gospel with this person. If someone found that out, I will lose my license and I am the right to be inside of the base. So basically, chaplains are not allowed to share gospel unless that is requested by someone. And you say, well, that's a little bit difficult to do. How did you reach the military? That's where the Gideons come from. Gideons inside, that's the reason we are making a forward effort to recruit a massive Gideons within the military, because they can do the following. We have one of the most powerful guns, weapons that you can have, and that is camouflage New Testament. And sometimes you say to the people, here is a New Testament, it's blue in Spanish or purple. They say, no. But they see the camouflage one and they want to take it as a souvenir. Okay, that's fine, that's for the purpose. You share the gospel with them a little bit, and they say, if you want to know more, I can invite the chaplain to come and talk to you. Because also, if the military share the faith within the base, can have issues. So we had to partner, do this kind of tweak into the system and to earn. Does it work? Oh yes, it's working. Slowly, but it's working. Till a point I already have 2 Catholic chaplains complaining to me, because they somehow they got my address, that we are reaching too far into the people in the base. Okay, but that's another issue to talk about. In this case, interesting enough, the person in Spain in charge of military chaplainry is a woman. And because she was part of the United Nations military corps of Spain, is in different areas, and suddenly in the evangelical world, remember, we are only 2%, and so she took over. And he's a commander, also is a Gideon. The photo that you see is the first time that we were able to have a service inside of a base for the military, and they were so grateful that we have a distribution. We invited other soldiers to give it to them. Some of them, they are not believers, but they were happy to stay with us. Mm-hmm. So that we are doing that slowly. Are you familiar with conversation? You know what conversation is? Mm-hmm. The Spanish program is 8 hours long. It's a little bit different from yours. But also they had to spend an hour and a half and go out, share, see what happened, share their belief, try to share the gospel, share Jesus, And then they had to come back and say, okay, please tell us what happened in that hour and a half. Remember, you had to be in sanctity, and you need to have the right mindset in prayer. If not, it will not work. But we are doing a lot of those. If you're not familiar with the program, basically is we as a Gideon, our main goal, what is the main goal of a Gideon, or main mission? You need to know this. Say again? Okay, perfect. That's our goal. Yeah. To win soul for Jesus Christ. So what happened with the church doesn't do the job? We have to help them to do it. And that's where this workshop came in place. How we explain that to the pastor is, okay, and we are actually in a place where you have a building, a huge church, and in Spain, an average church size will be around 100 attendees, very small ones. So when we said to the pastor is you want the church to grow beyond the four walls, you had to let the people, and you had to train the people to share the gospel. And if you don't know how to, we will do it for you, because that's our main goal. So that's what we do in Spain. And we ask them to take pictures. It's also a good source to know new Gideons. Why? Because you spend 8 hours with most of them and you send it in action. Does it work? Yes. And let me share something that happened with us in one of the workshops that we have in Sevilla, in my hometown. I have a couple that have never shared their faith with anyone. Very shy and not very articulated in the way that they express themselves. Yeah? So we went to the workshop, and then they said, okay, pray, be in sanctity, listen what God is telling you, and act accordingly. So they pray, they say, we think that God is sending us to a specific plaza close to the church. Okay, but you just go. You follow what God tells you to do. So they go over there, and I remember when they came back, they were coming with a big smile. So they have a good experience. Great. So I said, okay, tell me what happened. So we went over there, and there was nobody in the plaza. 0 people. The question in their mind is, have we listened God's word, or just we feel it? Or how does that work? And I said, okay, if that happened, part of the workshop is to pray again and see what God has ready for you. So they pray in a moment in the corner, this couple, and suddenly a guy with a dog show up walking the dog. Okay, they're not going to witness the dog, to the guy with the dog. So they went straight for the guy, and they said, okay, good. At least you have a correct. So how did you start the conversation? Remember, these people are very shy. And they said, well, we tell them, do you look at that church over there? We just finished evangelistic workshop. Do you mind we practice with you? Make it difficult for us. And the guy said, well, I don't have anything to do, just to work in the dust. Go ahead, whatever you do. So they went through the whole program. At the end, he accepted Jesus. Does that mean, does it work? Yes, very much. But it helped us also with the group, with the giving the different group. More groups. These are our auxiliaries. Something that happened in Spain in the past is the Gideon were considered a men's club only. With a mean, the auxiliary was left on the side, and they were never involved in any activities till 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we decided to change part of the format. We make an emphasis to recruit more auxiliary, but also give them the opportunity to be involved in prayer and in the area of distribution that they are. And they did that. They even formed prayer group faster than we do it. We as a man sometimes make excuses. Women sorry, but they are better in some areas than we are, at least in Spain. So now they come sometimes to distribution in schools. They go out. Also, the area distribution, that's the hospitals. In the hospital, we are having very interesting results because as a Gideon, we cannot go inside and distribute. They don't allow us to go in. But we somehow actually have sometimes the opportunity to go inside and they are allowed to do it. Don't ask me why, but they do it. But also, with the new hospital chaplainry that have been developed, we are making some partnership for them to open the doors to us. And it's interesting. If we show up business suit with a tie, normally we are stopped at the door. Ladies show up over there and they are not stopped. I don't know what. Believe me, God is using you, at least in Spain. I can tell you a story after a story, but also they're helping us in nursing home, big time. Let's change a little bit subject of what we're doing over there. Do you think that your law enforcement system is a little bit complicated with having highway patrol, FBI, SBI? Well, Spain, we like to complicate things also. So in Spain, we have a national police, that's nationwide. You have Guardia Civil, that's a military police. You have an autonomous police for different regions, like Carranza, that's most on Estancia, and the local police for city and town. I say, okay, well, that's similar to what we have here with different names. I don't know the numbers in the United States, but by comparison, I'm going to give you a few numbers. How many soldiers do you have in this country, more or less? What is the armed forces of the United States composed of? 1.3, 1.4 million people, more or less. 2 million? I think it's 1.2. I'm talking. Spain only have 90,000. Very small. But if you see that's your army, your police force, law enforcement, we have a similar comparison in both countries also. So we have a very tiny police force in Spain. We are probably bigger than the armed forces, about 110,000. Since 2021, 78 of them have killed themselves in Spain. That's a really high rate of people losing their life because they killed themselves. And you say, why that happened? Spain have one of the most strict gun laws in the country. In the country, I'm saying the world. They say, what does that mean? Well, that means that they got you with a gun and you don't have a license for that, and it's almost impossible to get one. You will be considered a terrorist. They apply the anti-terrorist laws to you. That means that for 72 hours, you will not have any constitutional right. The police can do whatever they want with you. And after 72 hours, you can call a lawyer. 72 hours with no constitutional right. Well, police force in Spain is one of the few segments of the population that has it to guns. They have the opportunity, they have the time, they are not really supported by the government, even if they are used as a political force sometimes. They are well paid, not bad, but the amount of people with depression, family issues is really extremely high. And I want to tell you about Joaquín Acaíña. Joaquín Acaíña used to be, I don't know if you're familiar with the history of Spain, during the 80s and 90s, we used to have two terrorist groups. One is called ETA in the Basque Country, and there was Grapo, or ETA and Grapo. Grapo was in the Catalonia area. Well, the rotation of policemen in the País Basque, where the ETA was, and the police was only for 12 months. You go 12 months and get out. About 60% of the police force that were over there will become depressed, in a depression that had to then go to like a FMLA type of situation here, where they cannot mentally work for almost for a year after that. So many of them came, some of them came, and they tried to kill themselves. Well, Juan Ocaña was one of these. Sometimes we ask ourselves, is the job that we are doing as a Gideon is worth it? We spend all this amount of money, we spend all this amount of resources, this amount of time, of connection, is it worth it? The question we have to ask is, what is the price of a life? What would you do to save a life? If I introduce you to Joaquin Ocaña, he will tell you, that's me. He came from the País Basque, one of his rotations, came to the south, he was in the south, and he basically went to a hotel. Because of the situation, his family he was almost going to divorce. So he decided that this is the end, let me go to a hotel and kill myself. So he went to the hotel, put the gun on the side, look at it, put it here, we're going to pull the trigger. But he said, God, if you are there, you need to send me a sign, a small sign that I will not pull the trigger. Remember, he's already here. You know what happened? A New Testament place in a nice town in France suddenly fall. And he went to reason to it, left the gun on the side, opened what was the book about, and tell you the story because I know him, I know his son. So he never pulled the trigger. But the story in there, he witnessed to someone else called Blas Molina. And this Blas Molina became a Christian. And he was, at that time, a little bit higher than like a private in the Guardia Civil. I don't know. This is Blas Molina. Blas, here is interesting. Dan showed me this morning. The church said, you know what? We have a brick wall made next to where the children are playing the playground, because in case we have an active shooter. And for me, it's hard for me to grasp that concept a little bit, that someone will come in and start shooting people. Unfortunately, this country is famous outside of this country for this type of event. But in Spain, it's very rare. Remember, we don't have guns. If you need to have just shotgun for shooting, hunting, you have to go to a class, criminal record, background check, a test. You have to have 5 papers with you with 2 different tests, and one is a psychological evaluation before you can get in 1-1. And so it's not that easy, very expensive. Well, in the 80s, at the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, in a small town called Puerto Urraco, we had probably the bloodiest incident that we ever had in Spain. 2 brothers got mad, they had hunting rifles, and they started hunting people in the street of a small town. They killed 9 people, I think one day like another 17 or something like that. Well, our brother Blas was in the Guardia Civil, and he said, you need to detain them, you need to stop this. So he went over there, he went behind a bush, and saw the 2 brothers coming with the shotguns. And he's interesting. I remember I told you about Joaquin Ocaña in the hotel. He witnessed him 4 months prior. And I said, so he accepted the Lord. And in his mind, he said, when I speak with him quite often, he said, I was thinking that the Lord had prepared me to die that day, and so I can go to heaven. Because I see the guy coming to me, they're going to kill me. That was my opportunity. So what he did is he waited for the 2 brothers to come close by. He jumped outside the bush, and he said with the gun, "You are detained." At that moment, both of the brothers got the shotgun, shoot, point at him. One of them pulled the trigger. The shotgun didn't go off. It stop. And I said, both of the brothers look at each other and say, "Okay," and they throw the guns down and they detain. So he jumped immediately, put the handcuff in the bag, called for reinforcement. When everything was settled down, he was so high in adrenaline, so much nerve wracking that he had a heart attack. At a time. But something that happened that day, suddenly he became a celebrity, an evangelical celebrity, and recognized by the government. So now he's a Gideon. And he had his call to go to this law enforcement, to policemen, these officers that are having issues because no one has spoken about God with any of them. So he goes and he tells his testimony. He invites them to accept Jesus. You need to understand. Imagine that you go to the main door of the FBI and I say, "Hey, I'm a Gideon. Can I speak with the deputy director? I would like to talk to him." What do you think will happen? He will open you the door and say, "Oh, of course, come on in. Have a seat." Does it happen? No. Maybe, I don't know. You don't pray hard enough. But in his case, he will go and say, "Can I speak with the chief of this office here, the sheriff, the county sheriff?" And my name is so and so, and the guy that this happened this to me, and they say, "Of course, come on in." And he go and speak to the top guys. He spends sometimes hours with them, praying with them, sharing the gospel with them, and on the way of coming out, said, "By the way, I have a gift for every officer here." And that's when he did. Do you see that you're allowed to take pictures inside of the police station with your cell phone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So God is using it. One person, at one point of time, New Testament in a hotel, policeman took it, didn't finish his life, witnessed someone else, and blood now is going everywhere. Let me change. In Spanish, they say, cambiemos tercios. Let's change tercio. That is, if you are in bullfighting, cambiar tercio, let's change the subject a little bit. Spain, I want to give you, because numbers don't lie. Does numbers lie? No, but I can hide the truth. Very well, but let me give you a few numbers. Remember that by law, you cannot take any data about religious affiliation or political affiliation. Well, but these are the few data that we can have from the different organizations within the evangelical church. So in 1993, I was looking for you. There was in Spain 1,435 evangelical churches. 2024, 4,246. Way, we are growing. No? On 1993, 74,312 registered or members, active member of the churches. 2024, 4,800, 400,000, 80,798. So in numbers, we're growing. Okay, but this is hiding a truth. This is hiding a problem, an issue. You think that's very positive, but it's not. Let me tell you why. Well, before this, the majority, I would say half of this growth have come by immigration. Not because the Spaniards have been rich. One of my, when I go and speak to pastor, the main comment that the that come to me is, where are the Spaniards in the church? We have all these foreign coming here. The churches are happy. We have new members, and more tithe, more offering, bigger buildings, but they're not Spaniards, most of them. They're going very slow. Something interesting. There are 8,134 municipalities. Municipality is like a county, more or less, a little bit smaller, but only 1,007 have churches. What that means is 7,124 municipality or small town don't have a single church. There is no Christian testimony. There is no Jesus. There is no contact with the Bible. Even if we have growth so much. So where is the growth coming? Well, the majority of the growth have come from main cities. Madrid, Madrid, Valencia, Barcelona, Malaga, and Sevilla. When you send missionaries to Spain, the majority of the missionaries go to these cities. That means that the rest of the country is a black hole. There is nothing. There is no testimony. Even with the number having grown. Do you know who are the only ones that are giving any kind of testimony in those areas? The Gideons. Because sometimes, every 2-3 years, we go to the school and we make distribution. Because Brother Blas go to the police station. Because through the military places, we can pick here and there. But the rest of the country, we don't. So that's what's so important. The work of the Gideons in Spain. Even we are like a Spartan, 300. Another data that don't say is the Spain have more or less 48,592,909 inhabitants. Remember that we have a 2% evangelical? If you take a 2% of this number, that gives you 48 million people in Spain have not heard anything about the gospel in their life. They don't have a race of any church. No one had testified to them at any point of time, except for the Gideons. That is a reality. But brothers, sometimes we say, okay, we need resources. They say, we are here at IC countries, we need resources to do better job. We need more Bibles to distribute. We need your generosity. And you say, well, we have time. I say, no, we are in a race against time. Because there is another number that don't show anywhere. In 1998, there was 480,000 Muslims in Spain. 1998 is the number that we have now as a Christians. But today, there are 2.4 million. So we are a small group in Spain. Sometimes we say, well, Spain is Christian. Spain, no, these are the real numbers. 54% of the population don't know what is the difference between reincarnation and resurrection. They don't have anyone. They don't have something to compare. It's a fight. But I don't want to finish in a bad note. Because I say, okay, but that's a lot of work to do. I say, yes. But our call is to answer the call and say, okay, there is a mission field. Let's put resources. At least in my country, I know the need. But what is really important for me is not just the job that's a Gideon we are doing. It's how we are impacting our families and our churches. I want to tell you two things that happened to me. One is after COVID, if you go to the south of Spain, I mean, here you go to a restaurant and you need to have some spare change or something for the tip, 15-20%. In Europe, you don't have to do that. It's included in the price. What is not included is when you are driving and you have a parking lot, you will have someone, a beggar, asking for money in the parking space. So they allow you to park, here your feet, in at least an euro or something. As a Gideon, in that situation, I normally don't give any money. I will ask the person, do you know how to read? Why? Because instead of money, I will reach for my pocket or my book. I will get a New Testament, person of witnessing, and I will give it to him. I want to make sure they can read it first, because there's a high number of people that don't know how to read. So this person, I was going to park. That day, I did not have any New Testament with me. I didn't have any money with me. So I parked my car, came down, said, I'm sorry, I will do something downtown. When I come back, if I have anything else, I will give it to you. By the time that I was leaving, I asked him, your face is familiar to me. I've seen you somewhere. I don't know where. And he said, he looked at me with very strange eyes and said, you saved my life. And I said, what? Did you save my life? Seriously, I was thinking that, okay, this have drink anything, have smoked something, put something in his vein. I don't know what's the situation here, but because I don't recognize him, the lady said, yeah, you came a year ago, more or less, with another blue car, so he recognized my car, the color of my car. You park in the same place, almost close by, and you gave me a blue book. That's about the New Testament. So I was intrigued now for the whole story. I said, okay, remind me what happened. I said, yeah, you came, you gave me the book, and we have a conversation where the Jew said, I was just remembering all the time. Oh, yes. When I tried to witness him, he said, I said, oh, there is a church over there, they can help you. It's evangelical church, blah, blah. And he said, they don't help anyone. I already went over there, they don't help me. And I was sad because of the answer. So I said, well, how did you go over there? You just went over and say, give me, give me, give me? Or you just say, okay, I'm in this situation, how can you help me? He said, no, I just was asking for a specific help. They couldn't do it. Okay, but go back, tell him what was your situation and how they can help you. And I remember also that he said he'll agree with them, that when I was leaving, he was glued to the blue book. Give me some time to remember that part. And so he went to the church and they helped him this time. And so in my conversation a year later, he said that you saved my life. So I would say, how do I save your life? He said, well, at that time, first conversation the year before, remember, it was at the end of COVID. He was in drugs. He needed money for the drugs. But everyone is in that, we have a lockdown. There was no one in the street. He could not rob anyone. He couldn't steal anything because we couldn't sell it. And so he was going cold turkey. And when I parked, I was one of the first people that he spoke being on the cold turkey. So at that time, he was facing or contemplating to kill himself because of the pain. And so when I said, go to this place, do this, after a year, I was speaking with him, so he was alive. And he very seriously looked at me and said, I'm still on the streets, but now I have hope I'm not going to kill myself. And for me, no, I said, okay, we save it. I don't know, I mean, it's one of the few instances that you say, what I'm doing as a Gideon have a meaning. Real, serious, physical, tangible, I can experience the saving, I can experience how the person changed. I can prove it in a way. But most important than that was how my son reacted to that situation. Because we were changing schools, we went to the school, the new principal came to the front and asked him at a time, what do you want to be when you grow up? Very typical conversation, no? Guess what he answered back? I want to be a Gideon. I said, Gideon. So you can imagine the face of the principal was at 10 years old, said, I want to be a Gideon. And they didn't know what a Gideon is. So he was very polite. But he said, what? And where is a Gideon? My son said, hold on. He went to the car. He knew I have a New Testament in the car. Grabbed one, came back, and gave it to him. And he said, if you are sad and if you need direction and you need, and he gave it to him. And I was, he's doing my job. Brothers, what I'm going to tell you is yes, Spain is in a, we are part of the IC, that country that don't have the resources. Median income is not the best. There is a need. But if we have the resources, we can do many things. I'm going to tell you something. We started to do 3 years ago. In Madrid, we started to do conversation workshop. And we did 6. We did 6, no, 3. On the 3 workshop, 6 new Gideon came on board. If you take that year, how many New Testament was distributed in Madrid? Was roughly 2,400. Not many. After those 6 Gideon came on board, 2 years later, there was 15,000 distributed just in the school, another 1,800 more or less in hotels, and not counting armed forces, policemen. And also with this, up to today, a total of almost 30 different workshops. If you counted how many people, 30 by 25, how many are there? Come on, math. 30 by 25? Come on. That, no, 35, I'm sorry, 25 by 30, 30, 750. Does that mean that 750 people now are willing to go out of the churches and share what God have done for them in a single city? And that is because of the Gideon that we are moving over there. Question. Okay, I don't want to speak too much. Any question they would like to know? You're too quiet. Okay. Oh, that's good.
I wanted to ask about the students and pictures with the students. Is that how you do because of maybe some kind of human trafficking?
No. What happened is there is a data protection law that was implemented through Europe a few years ago. And one of the things that was is that you cannot take a picture of someone without their consent. And minors are considered a specific category within it. So the police treat that very serious. That's the main reason. But not that it's no human trafficking, nothing related to it.
When you're involved in conversations with the training there, do you have to have a written permission to talk to that person with the dog? Or
no.
How does that work differently? Having written permission to
because it's a conversation. It's not a picture, there is no conversation, you are not giving any tracks, you're not giving any documentation, any paper, nothing. After the conversation, that you know that the person is interested and is willing when you exchange digamos, pamphlets or PWP, something like that, but not prior to it. That's the main difference.
You ever been to North Carolina before?
Yes, I've done. That's the reason when he came back, the first thing I wanted biscuit. When he called me, he said, "What do you want to eat?" Biscuit in the morning. But we don't have biscuits. He was surprised. Yes, I live. I had the privilege of marrying someone from North Carolina, and we have a quote, a set. It says, "Your wife or girlfriend asks you to jump from a bridge. What do you do? What do you do?" Hmm? No, you pray that it's not too high because you will jump from the fridge. But in this case, no. What happened when I got married? We lived 5 years in Spain. I had my own business, to directly business. I thought that I owed to my wife to be living in her country for another 5 years and then make a decision. So we came here, we lived for 5 years, and I said, okay, so which country do you want to settle? Then I said, no, let's go back to Spain. Okay, let's sell everything back. We moved back to Spain, and I knew a month after I arrived that she would change her mind. So after a month and a half, she came back and said, no, let's go back to the States. So I had to resell everything and we came back here. And believe me, putting a business together, houses, cars, by the way, electricity is different from Europe here, so you cannot take any electrical appliances from one country to the other. You have to buy and sell every time you move. Yeah. But that's it. Any other question? Yes, sir.
So if you end the testimony, you witness and someone accepts Christ on the street or in the house, what do you do with them? Where do you suggest they go to church?
If it's a church close by, well, when you say close by, is within a range. We suggested to basically to go to that church. Many times will be the person witnessing, the Gideon, that will say, well, I can take you in my car to the church if you don't have transportation. And that's very common. I've done a few times, and many members have done. And then after that, someone else will take over. So how we understand it, our role is to bring the people to the church. But the church has a role to disciple them and to take over from that. Remember, as a Gideon, we don't have time, especially if you are active. Any question? Okay, another question for yes, sir.
In our Constitution, we have a lot of Christian principles. Is that the same in Spain?
No.
Or
No. The first rule of the game is that the countries are confessional, meaning that there is no main religion. It's not atheist, it's not like, that means that the government cannot support a specific group or a specific religion. Actually, there is a fight now because we have at this moment is a socialist, communist type of ruling going on, and they are basically trying to take anything Christian out of the public eyes. And it's a big issue there now.
is that going to be a follow-up question? That's what I asked. If you had any Christian documents in your government, what kind of protections do Christians have? And I guess you kind of answered that. So if the government pushes against Christianity, what's your answer against that kind of action?
You don't have any. That's the reason you are placed in a country you can fight back. But we don't have that. Even we are a democracy, it's a different type of democracy. Here you are based on principles. Sir, one more question? Just one more.
Didn't catch your comment about appliances. If you move,
Yes, electricity in the United States is 125 volts, and the frequency of electricity is 50 hertz. If you go to Europe, it's 220 volts with 60 hertz. So anything that have a motor on it, it will not work. You burn it. Yes.
we have a Bible broadcasting network in Charlotte.
Okay.
Broadcast all over the world in different languages. And the government, no radios.
No. What I'm telling is whatever you buy that is electrical in the United States, when you move to Europe, you cannot use it. You cannot. We have our own. I mean, you need a radio, you can buy a radio, you can buy a TV, you can buy everything that you want. Does it? Okay, I think that's it. I can speak.